unfortunately, I lost that job during COVID. I accumulated a lot of financial commitments, and that job was the only source of income I had that time. I started my sales career with Byju's as a BTA. I started with upskilling in Excel, SQL, Python, Power BI, Tableau. First of all, why I chose Azure and not AWS or GCP is because with over 700 plus rejections, I finally cracked my first job in data analytics domain.
Imagine yourself coming from a BCom kind of background, and then after that, just to feed your family, just to support your family, you are working in the random non-technical jobs like a sales representative just to support your family. And after facing all these challenges with the consistency, hard work, dedication, finally you have moved into the data analytics job. Yes, you heard it right. And maybe after getting some experience into that one, you have moved into the data engineering managerial role. This is not any random story. This is the actual true story of our today's guest, who have made this successful transition from the BCom, the non-technical jobs, to data analyst, and now Azure data engineering manager. So watch this podcast till the very end, because he will be sharing every single thing, including his challenges to get into the data analyst, how he was rejected by so many number of companies, what roadmap he followed, how he got into that one, how he adjusted his experience in the resume, how he prepared for the data engineering role, all that kind of hustle, and the proper clean journey with the roadmap, with interview experience. So lots of learnings you will be getting from this podcast. Watch it till the very end, like it in the big numbers, so that this podcast can inspire a lot of aspiring data professional. And let me know in the comment section what you learned from his story after watching the podcast. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon for such type of amazing motivating podcast. And a very important announcement for all the aspiring data professionals who are working on Tableau and looking for the certifications, then without working on the hands-on projects, industry level projects, not just the easy level but medium to advanced level projects, those things will be next to impossible, because the practical understanding is needed. And for that one, our Tableau projects for the data analyst bootcamp with certification preparation is starting from the 24th of August. Live classes will be starting for that one, and in this boot camp we will be working on 5 end-to-end projects, starting from the basic steps from the requirement gathering till its deployment, optimization, business KPIs, the whole journey of these amazing 5 end-to-end projects, which you can mention in your resume, and your chances of getting shortlisted will be sky high. So that is going to start. Live classes will be starting from 24th of August. Hurry up, just few 20-25 seats are left, and link has been given in the description. You can still use the early bird offer. That code is also given in the description, or you can visit www.growdataskills.com. and you already know that on Grow Data Skills what kind of quality we are bringing into our boot camps, by keeping the things very affordable for all the learners, plus the dedicated placement assistance, profile building, resume building, LinkedIn profile optimization, tons of quizzes, assignments, interview guidance, interview questions. All these things are waiting for you, and dedicated modules for the certificate preparation with strategies and the mock questions. You will be getting the live doubt support after the each live class, plus you will be part of private Discord group where you can ask your doubts 24/7 offline, and your mentor will be responding on to that one. And in case if you miss any live class, then don't worry, you will be getting the recording part of it, which you can access from the website and from the mobile application. And you can see on your screen that how our students are learning these things practically and cracking their dream jobs with the dream salary package, and you can also be one of them. So what are you waiting for? Be a part of this boot camp. Hurry up, enroll fast. All the details have been given in the description. All right, so thank you so much, Dishad, for joining me in this podcast, and I'm really happy to see you again. I hope folks who are following our channel, they have seen you previously with a different journey. Dishad, it would be really good, folks who are watching you for the very first time, if you can give a short introduction about yourself, including your past and current background, it would be helpful.
Thank you so much, 𝗍𝗵𝗶, for inviting me once again to your podcast. It is, a great honor for me. My name is Dishad, and I'm from the beautiful state of Assam, which is in Northeast India. I completed my graduation from BCom from Christ University, Bangalore, and which is a non-CS, non-IT background. Then I started my career from the banking domain, then moved into the retail, and then to sales. And currently, I'm working as a senior data engineering manager for ZDS.
Let's reiterate on that part. How was your life after completing your education, and where and how did you get your first job? Because a lot of people will be able to relate with your journey. I can understand it. Specifically, who had no clue after the graduation, completely into non-tech, and maybe was just trying to help their family by working in a random job. So if you can throw some light on that journey.
Sure. So I started my career from a banking domain, but how I got the job? So I was being from a BCom background, which is a non-CS, non-IT background. Life was a bit difficult and monotonous. But I was one of those lucky guys who got their first job through campus placement. So I was hired by ANZ Bank as a process analyst, which was my first job, and it was nowhere near to any data jobs. I worked there for 1.2 years and then switched my job to a much smaller organization called RR Auto Enterprise, where I work as a business operations specialist. Again, not a data job. Worked there for 3.8 years, but unfortunately, I lost that job during COVID, which is on August 2020, due to organizational restructuring. It was one of the most difficult times of my life, to be honest. I accumulated a lot of financial commitments, and that job was the only source of income I had that time to fulfill all these commitments. I got married then recently when I lost the job, and it really hit me hard. It was really a nightmare for me. I started looking for jobs, but due to COVID, either the companies went into hiring freeze or there were no openings at all. I said to myself then, I would take up any job. This is when my journey in sales started. I got placed as a BDA, Business Development Associate for Byju's. Worked there for 6 months, then switched to 𝗍ci𝗶𝗶, or what everyone knows it as 𝗍𝗲𝗱, as a field sales guy. Worked there for 1 year and finally worked for Scalar Academy for 4 months before deciding that I had enough of it now. Left the job, started preparing for data analytics role, and after 3 to 4 months of pure grinding with over 700 plus rejections, I finally cracked my first job in data analytics domain. I was hired as a lead data analyst for Aviva on February 2023, which is a product-based company. Worked there for 1.5 years, then transitioned to data engineering domain, and currently working as a senior data engineering manager for ZDS.
Dishad, after all these hectic challenges and struggle, when and how did you get the motivation and right direction to move into the data analyst role? And how did you make that successful transition? Because your journey can be divided in two parts. First part can help someone, and other part can help those people who want to move from analyst to data engineering role. So help those guys who want to move from a non-tech to the data analyst first.
Sure, Shashank bhai. So my motivation started when I lost my job during COVID, and the motivation was intensified when I was in sales. So I started my sales career with Byju's as a BTA. It was one of the, I would say, most toxic work culture I ever faced in my life. Early mornings, bashings from team leads saying, sales kidhar hai, revenue kidhar hai, daily targets, weekly targets, monthly targets. And as a BDA, I had to call so many people every day. It was crazy. Then switched to another company, which is 𝗍𝗲𝗱𝗶. Worked there as a field sales guy for 1 year. A bit better than Byju's, no calling. Then lastly, work as a senior BDA for Scalar Academy for 4 months. So face the same work culture like Byju's even there. So all these things made me realize that I cannot stick to sales as a career option. I realized at time that I'm a married man, and in our society, people who are in sales are not respected enough. There would be a lot of things that one hear about, when you say that you are from a sales background. I really wanted to get out of it. So that is when I decided to leave the sales job. And now the question is, right direction to move into data analysis is, when I was in 𝗏𝗃ci, the reason I had to leave after 1 year is because the company decided to close the operations of the city where I was working in. I had some people in the headquarters with whom I became friends with over the 1 year. They said that the data for leads for your city have stopped coming in. And they said that data showed that the operations from that city, from which city I was working from, would be incurring more expenses if there are no data for leads. So that is when I realized the power of data and what this data could actually help an organization to do, or to help make or increase the decision making power of an organization. So I wanted to know more what is this data all about. That is when I came into the concept of data analysis on September 2022. I got more idea when I was working for Scalar right after that. It made me very curious. So I went to the YouTube, and that's when, for the first time I landed at your channel. And I thank you enough for the kind of work and content you bring into the world of data, be it like data engineering, data analysis, or data science. Your channel gave me the right guidance and the knowledge which I needed to transition into the world of data science and analytics. And the roadmap you provided were, I would say, very precise and industry relevant, and it helped me a lot in my initial phase. So that is how I got to know, or that data analysis is the right direction, because that is what I used to do when I was in Scalar Academy. And uh, now, coming back to the question, how did I make that successful transition? I took up a few of the courses from Coursera or from some individual organization, and it did not give me a precise roadmap initially, but your channel really helped me a lot in that way. And I started with upskilling in uh, Excel, SQL, Python, Power BI, Tableau. So these were the things. And uh, what you basically focused on was on projects all the time. You kept on saying the more you do projects, the more it'll be easy for you to get the successful transition. So
Right.
projects became the my go-to work all the time. And so that is how I transitioned successfully, and also had to face 700 plus rejections. And around I was invited for 19 interviews, and I cracked two of those. One of them was 𝗏𝗲 as a lead data analyst, and that is how I successfully transitioned.
Like this year, you have moved from the data analyst role to the senior Azure data engineer role and probably on the managerial role. Why this change? What is the story behind it? I guess a lot of people would be interested to know that why you did that.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. And I have been asked a lot by people who have reached out to me. So, working as a data analyst, I worked under both the hats, being as a data engineer sometimes, or being as on a data science side. But data engineering got me more interested towards it. The scale at which a data engineer works, the kind of data that they handle, the influx of data, the traffic of data, right, and how it is being smoothly moved from one end to the other, so that a data analyst like us, or data scientists like data scientists, could work after that. So I would say without data engineers, data analysts, and data scientists, work would not be possible. And there are a lot of amazing magical things that a data engineer does. So when I was working in 𝗏𝗲 as a data analyst, there was two projects that I worked closely with a few of the Azure developers. Basically, they are data engineers, and the scale at which they were working, the data that they were handling, it was ginormous in nature, and the efficiency that they showed, it was mind blowing. And the knowledge that they had, it was amazing. So they had the technical knowledge as well as the data knowledge as well as the business knowledge as well. So combine all these three things together, they were amazing at their work. And at the same time, I got introduced to Azure because Aviva was using Azure as a cloud service. I was introduced to Data Factory. I was introduced to SQL Azure SQL DB, then Azure Synapse Analytics. It caught my attention, like how they were creating pipelines, activities in it. So it fascinated me a lot, and it actually pushed me to understand what exactly data engineering is all about. And that is how my interest for data engineering started. So I gradually shifted my focus from data analysis to data engineering now.
Just a follow-up question on that one. Being into the data analyst role, how did you target Azure data engineering role, and how did you start preparing yourself for the same? Because that is something which might have been challenging for you initially, because you were more into like dashboarding, Excel, stats, SQL, and data engineering is enormous, right? When you or somebody deep dive into it, it somehow combines the capabilities of software engineering plus somebody who's working on the data and data analytics related tools. So how did you start your preparation? Although you mentioned you got the exposure of Azure cloud, some of the teammates friends were working on Azure related projects, but in your previous company itself, how did you pick it? Maybe side by side you were working on some hands-on projects, or just leveraging the dev environment of your company itself for the personal learning. So how it went?
Yeah, so something in the same line I did. So
Mm-hmm.
the best thing is I was working in a product-based company. The work culture is amazing, first of all, and the work-life balance is also amazing in Aviva. So I had a lot of me time to focus on upskilling, right? And the first thing first, what I did is I understood which are the services that an Azure data engineer uses on a day-to-day basis, which are, if I would like to list it down, that would be Azure Data Factory for orchestration tool, then SQL DB for data warehousing, Azure Synapse Analytics for data warehousing as well, then Azure Databricks. We have for security purpose, we have Key Vault, we have Azure Directory. So these are a few of the things that Azure Data Engineer works on. And when I got the list of these services, I went to YouTube and I started searching for tutorials. What are these things and how they work, how they are being integrated to different environments, what are the functionalities. So all these things I started first. Then I downloaded a few of the data sets to start working on it, because I cannot use company's data, but I can use the
Absolutely.
company's environment,
Environment.
which is the Azure environment or the Azure portal. So I started working on it, and at the same time, uh, what I was doing is I was looking into a lot of playlists. There are free, lot of free contents in YouTube where people are teaching um, on few of the services, either it be Data Factory or Databricks or Synapse Analytics. So I had all this playlist in my YouTube channel, in my YouTube, and then I started going through each and every videos one after the other. So that is how I started preparing myself. So that's the entire story behind this.
Can you list down the step-by-step roadmap you followed? When I'm saying roadmap, not just focusing on the Azure side, that is definitely one of the core of your profile, being into the Azure data engineering. What else you worked on? Because as I said, data engineering is something which is very broad. Like in interviews, you will be expected a little bit on the DSA side as well, going more into the SQL, some streaming pipeline, orchestration like Airflow, and it could be anything. So if you can share your roadmap, like from the start till the end, like getting your job, what all things you followed and added in your resume.
Sure. So, first of all, why I chose Azure and not AWS or GCP is because uh, Azure, first of all, it is not the market leader. Market leader is AWS because they were the first one to come up with the concept of cloud. Then comes Azure. But the thing is, Azure have recently increased their market share. They have not reached up to the level of what AWS is, but they are uh, bridging that gap very fast. The reason is the ease of integrating between the softwares that we are using on a day-to-day basis. So that's the reason why I chose Azure at the first place. Now coming back to the skills or roadmap. Okay, skills. Uh, I would say Python is one of the most important thing a person should know who wants to transition to any data engineering role. So Python is something that is very important. SQL, it is a bread and butter for everyone, be it data engineer, data analyst, or data science. So SQL has to be there. Then we have to know about databases, data warehousing. Then we have to know about Hadoop. We have to know about Apache Spark architecture. These are a few of the things that the market is looking for when we are or when we are applying for any jobs. So these are the things that I listed down, and I started working on it. And also we have to know one scripting tool. So I chose two. I chose one as Unix, and the other one is Python. So whatever the requirement was, it gave me the bandwidth to apply all these companies who are either looking for shell scripting or for Python scripting. So that is how I listed down. At the same time, Power BI or Tableau is something that is good to know, not a must to know thing. It's a good to know thing. If you know, then you have an added advantage. So these are the things or skills that as a data engineer we should know. And apart from this, we have two other skills that as a data engineer should be knowing. One is data smart or data maturity.
Okay.
The mindset of a data engineer is something that they should look into, and that will only start developing when someone works on more and more projects. So as soon as we sit in any interview, the interviewer will get to know by the way you are saying or describing your projects. So we have to be sounding very mature in terms of how we have handled data. We have to be industry smart. We have to be data smart. So these are the things, apart from all the hard skills, a person, a data engineer should have. So now coming back to the roadmap, I already knew Excel, I already knew SQL, I already knew Python, Power BI, and Tableau. So the added thing what I did for Azure Data Engineering is learning Apache Spark.
Okay.
The reason is I wanted to work on Databricks side. So I had to work on the Apache Spark architecture. So I didn't need to know about it. So that includes PySpark and Spark SQL. And it was easy for me because I knew Python, and PySpark is similar to what Python is, and Spark SQL is nothing but SQL. So that is first thing. Secondly, I learned shell scripting for automation purpose. So these are the things that I focused on apart from the skills which I already had. So this is the entire roadmap that I followed to crack the Azure Data Engineer. And added to that, the cherry on the top would be projects. Lots and lots of projects, end-to-end projects.
Maybe interviewers would have asked this question to you itself, like you are working on a data analyst, what is your reason to move into the data engineering? Already you have explained it, but I am asking in the perspective of how did you adjust your experience in the resume, because in 𝗲ci𝗶𝗶 your profile was data analyst. So how did you showcase your project in the resume, how you listed it down, and how did you convince them that you got a good exposure of working on the data engineering projects? Is what was it like? You mentioned the hands-on projects and you convinced them about your capabilities, that I know this stuff but I am looking for the opportunity, or somehow you try to adjust the projects in such a way that yes, you have worked on data engineering projects on your own in the company like Aviva, and for them it was like, yeah, this guy is coming from a data engineering kind of background. So if you can give that perspective, because a lot of people ask this question, I am working on this profile, that profile, how to show my experience, how to adjust my experience. So if you can talk something about it.
Sure. I'll try to answer it in the most candid way possible so that anyone can relate to this. So, first of all, it was the organization that helped me a lot to say what I have done. So basically, the organization gave me an exposure to Azure environment, and I was involved in two projects where I was migrating databases from on-prem to cloud. So these were the two databases, and we were migrating, petabytes of data, and it took significant amount of time. Each project took, around 5 to 6 months to complete. So, and what I did in my resume is I only focused on those projects which are data engineering related projects, be it my own personal project or be it the project that I've done in my organization. So I have included only those 3 to 4 projects in my resume, not all of it. And I always tweak my resume whenever I'm applying for any data engineering role in Azure. So if they're asking for any, let's say only 3 tools, so I will be focusing only on those 3 tools. If they're asking for more, I would be adding more to it, because I have upskilled myself in such a way that I have covered most of the Azure services. So if they're asking for less, I would only focus on less things to be included. So I tweak my resume every now and then, and I also explained very in depth as to how these projects have been started and ended, and why only 3 to 4 projects is because in a year, be it data engineer or data analyst or data scientist, we maximum at a year would do 3 to 4 projects. That's all, not more than that.
Yep.
So taking that into consideration, I only included 3 to 4 projects in my resume. I have explained what was the project all about, what are the tools that I have used, and what did I have achieved out of it. So this is the way that I have portrayed my projects in my resume.
Another important question, Dishad, about your overall interview experience for the data engineering role, specifically Azure data engineering. So, how was it, including all the rounds and what things interviewers were focusing on?
For my current role that I'm into, being a senior data engineering manager, they expected a lot out of me. So I have to prepare according to that. And I really knew about it, that I have an overall of around 7 years of experience. Maybe not into data engineer, but overall. So they need to place me in a position where it aligns with someone who has 7 years of experience. So they shortlisted me for the managerial role, senior managerial role for data engineering. So the questions were a bit tougher than what would someone be expecting in a associate level or entry level role. So
Yeah.
I had 6 rounds of interviews, 3 rounds
Wow.
with my current organization and 3 rounds with my client organization. So it's a service-based company, and so the first round was more into SQL advanced level and PySpark. PySpark, I would say it was intermediate level. That was the first round. And
Okay.
verbally, they have asked me a few questions around data warehousing, data modeling, and stored procedures as well. Then in the second round, which was also another technical round, so it was more into the Apache Spark architecture. So it started with 3 questions. 2 were of PySpark and 1 was of Spark SQL, intermediate level both. And verbally, they asked me database related questions, asked a scenario on how I would create a database from scratch, and also under what condition I would be creating an OLAP system, and then under what circumstances in Azure Synapse Analytics, I would be either using a dedicated SQL pool or Synapse Analytics, in SQL, serverless SQL pool. So these were the questions that have been asked verbally, then project-related questions. And specifically, they were more focusing on questions of Apache Spark architecture, like, key components of Apache Spark, concepts of, RDD, then DAG, directed acyclic graphs, difference between cluster manager, driver node, worker node, then partitioning, caching, tuning parallelism, wide and narrow transformation. All those kind of questions were coming up one after the other. And then the third round was a techno manager round with the company CEO, a very sweet guy. So he have asked me questions in order to check how comfortable I was in terms of Azure environment, or how comfortable I was in terms of deploying a pipeline, end-to-end pipeline. So he have asked me questions around ADF, Databricks, SQL database, pipelines, and inside a pipeline there are multiple activities, what each activity does, then parameters, global parameters, and Azure Synapse, and then end-to-end pipeline, and then guesstimate questions. And lastly, he asked me on team management skills. So these were the things that he have asked me. Then once I cleared that round, I went to the client round, which was the first round. It was a solution architect guy. He interviewed me. It was more into database, purely database, how we can tune performance tuning of databases. But I was shocked when he asked me in Power BI, there is a concept called as NLQ, a natural language query. I was pretty surprised, and I was taken aback because I've learned it, not learned it in the sense I've read about it. I never implemented in my previous experience before. So now, since every company is trying to go or lean towards generative AI, so even they were trying to implement generative AI into Power BI setup that they have in their organization. So he asked me about questions on that line, and also on Microsoft Fabric, because they are trying to move from Azure to Fabric now. So those were around, and moreover, it was more into project-related questions. And then the last round was with the CTO of that company, Chief Technology Officer. It was more discussions on the project that I have done before. He wanted to see the maturity I had in terms of handling projects or handling deadlines and handling team as well, cross-functional teams. So I would say that is the entire scene that I have faced for the interview.
So I have just last question, and you already know that I ask this question from everyone so that people can get the idea about the current market standard. So if you just compare your overall experience, then at this stage, obviously you would have interviewed with different companies as well. How much compensation for the Azure data engineering managerial level companies are paying for? So if you can give a average idea about it, that would be helpful.
Sure. So before I opted for this offer, I got another two offers. So in total, I got three offers. I was given offers from two companies from the Big Four. One was from Deloitte and one was from EY. The reason I did not go with Deloitte or EY is because of the kind of work that I would be doing there and the technology exposure that I would have, which is only specific to Databricks. I wanted to be Azure plus Databricks plus Fabric. So I wanted to have all these things combined together into one, which my current organization is giving me. And also the CEO of my current organization did really well in terms of giving me a package better than the other two
Deloitte and
companies.
EY.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he did really well in that. And also, when you work in an environment like a startup, your learning curve is amazing. So what I have not learned in the last 1.5 years in Aviva, I've learned in the last 3 years. I mean, much more than that. So learning curve is amazing when we are working in a startup scenario. And So now coming to the salary range for the position that I am in, uh, I can give you a range or ballpark. Uh,
Yep, that's
yeah. So that would be somewhere between 30 to 35 lakhs per annum base salary.
I see.
And then after that, we can expect variable.
Great. So this was really great, Dishad, and you already know that it's always a pleasure to invite you and have a detailed discussion about the journey and what all things you have seen so far. So this latest experience of yours definitely gonna help a lot of people in their journey. And I'm really thankful that you again came here and shared your detailed experience and. Yeah, I all the very best for your new journey into the data engineering, and really glad to see you in the similar space. So a big thanks from my side and from the entire audience side for sharing your overall experience.
Thank you so much. And it's always, it's my pleasure to be in your podcast or wherever you invite me. I mean, I'm a big fan of yours already because you're someone who have impacted me a lot
That
in my entire career journey, transitioning into the world of data. I mean, and also at the same time, your channel have been one of a strong pillar for me. Even if I have to sit for an interviews, be it uh, practicing it for SQL, I always go to those questions which you have posted there. So all those things have helped me a lot, and I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for you and your channel. So thank you so much.
So this is what I had for all of you in this amazing podcast. I'm pretty sure you have enjoyed this whole journey of Dishad and you have learned so much. I believe because his journey is truly inspiring, and I feel you all are feeling motivated now, feeling inspired. If yes, let me know in the comment section as well. Like it in the big numbers so that we can help other aspiring data professionals as well. If you are new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon. Also, don't forget to enroll yourself in the Tableau projects for the data analyst with certification preparation bootcamp. Live classes have already started. Still, you have a chance. Admissions are open for few limited seats. Link has been given in the description. You can still leverage the early bird offer, and you can visit www.growdataskills.com to be a part of this bootcamp. Hurry up, do it right now, and we will see you in the live classes.